Today I'm looking at two cheap underwater spotlights I bought on Amazon, the PFSN DF35 and DF60. Let's see what they can do. Welcome to another Water Trek 360. Today we're going to look at the PFSN DF35 and the DF60, two budget spotlights I bought on Amazon. Do check out my previous videos on other underwater spotlights. I will provide links for those in the description. As always, I do not represent any of the companies I review, nor any other manufacturer I may reference. These opinions are my own. I do this so that you can make an informed choice before you buy. If you like these reviews, click subscribe, click like. So what are the specs on the PFSN DF35 and DF60? Like others made with high-grade aluminum alloy, both have a water rating of IPX8. The DF35 claims 200 meters and the DF60 150. Common sense says you take this with a grain of salt. Who's diving deeper than 500 feet anyway to prove it? Not me. First thing you notice is the size. DF35 is about 5 1/3 inches tall and the DF60 about 8.5 inches. With batteries, the DF35 weighs in at about 8.8 ounces and the DF60 a shade over 1 pound, 1 ounce. They're both drop tested to 1 meter. DF35 body cavity opens at the rear with a double O-ring protection, and the DF60 opens in front of the light head with triple O-rings. Make sure you remove any insulation plates before first use. DF35 uses one 26650 battery with 6000 mAh, and the DF60 uses two of the same. Both claim to be protected batteries. DF35 can also take an 18650 battery. Both have a button switch where you scroll through low, medium, and high with corresponding lumen of 800, 1300, and 3500 for the DF35 and 600, 2000, 5500 for the DF60. Double pressing enables the SOS strobe with corresponding lumen of 3500 and 3000. Long press the button for 2 seconds in any mode to quickly shut off. DF35 claims a Kelvin of 6500 and a CRI of 90. PFSN says the DF60's Kelvin is about 6000 and the CRI is 80. These are not video lights. Both can be used on land. DF60 gets really hot after a couple of minutes, and the DF35 a little bit longer but not quite as hot. Both indicate low battery protection, short circuit and overcharge protection. The DF60 also indicates reverse polarity. The DF35 does not. Both have a locking function. You rapidly press 5 times to lock and then the same to unlock. They both have a memory function, returning to the last setting if you long press to shut off. To end this memory, just cycle through the lumen until off. I contacted PFSN. They list the DF35 with an 8-degree beam angle and the DF60 with a 10. Both say a spread of 70 to 75. They both have remaining battery power indicator on the switch. According to PFSN, not all the manuals have been updated, but DF35 shows green from 100 to 70, orange from 30 to 70, and then red under 30. There's no input on the percentage for the DF60, but it shows blue, then red. As for accessories, they both came in a box with the battery, their respective single or double charger, a lanyard, Type-C cables, and a manual. Oddly, the DF35 came with spare O-rings, the DF60 did not. The DF60 also came with a wrist strap, in my sync tests on high, the DF60 consistently went red around 56 minutes and off by 70 minutes, an hour and 10. DF35 went orange at 48 minutes, full red around an hour and 42 minutes, but stayed on up to 9 hours and 10 minutes, which indicates to me the light has no over discharge protection. Now don't do this with your lights, especially unprotected batteries, but I turned them back on. DF60 ran for another 4 minutes and the DF35 another hour and 18 minutes before shutting off completely. Finally, I ran the DF35 using an 18650 battery and went orange after only 27 minutes, red at an hour, but surprisingly lasted just over 6 hours, although it was much dimmer. Charging times. Both show red while charging and green when fully charged. Using the provided chargers, fully depleted batteries consistently average around 3.5 hours for the DF35. The DF60's double charger took anywhere from 8.5 to almost 10 hours. Once I looked at the chargers, I understood. Single charger can do 4.2 volts at 2 amp output. The double is a 4.2 volt with 1 amp per slot. Literature claims PD and QC chargers will work, but they strongly suggest using under a 5 volt 2 amp standard charger, which I did. They also suggest recharging the batteries immediately after use, which is not always possible. They explained it to me. The double charger will swap to a trickle charge if it senses 4 volt during charging, which is why the charger may not also turn green and run longer. Per PFSN, the DF35 single charger does charge faster. Topside, they kind of worked as anticipated. The DF60 was not really well defined at all, and the higher lumen of 5500 was negated by the super tight beam of the DF35. They both really got hot after 8 to 10 minutes, so use them on a low setting when out of the water. In the pool, they both had roughly 70+ degree overall spread. The DF35 8-degree beam was sharp and clean. The DF60 10-degree was pretty diffused. I would have guessed it at around 20 to 30 degrees versus 10. The DF60's lumen difference between the 3500 and 5500 was visible but not significant. Both have a cool white light. In my open water test, the results were consistent. All DFS35 videos on the left and DF60 on the right. My big surprise was the spot beam for the DF60. It was cleaner than in the pool at each of the lumen settings. Yes, I was closer to my subjects than in the pool, but it was still a surprise. Definitely not as sharp or penetrating as the DF35, but I didn't anticipate it to be. The DF35 did a way better job punching into holes into dark crevices. The DF60's added lumen certainly illuminated a broader area, but with the anticipated backscatter. As I've mentioned in previous videos, Long Island Sound is a tough place to dive due to the low vis, which is why I prefer a narrower beam under 10 degrees if possible. Regardless, both lights did pretty well. So what didn't I like? Now remember, these are my personal preferences. You may have a different opinion. Since I normally wear mine on a helmet, the DF60 is on the upper size range of what I would mount. The DF35 was fine when mounted. They also both go from low to high. Just start me at high and I will dial it down if I want. However, the memory function helps mitigate that concern. Charging times. The runtime ratios for the DF35 were great, a little better than 1:1, but horrible for the DF60. I spent more time testing this light than most. I found the DF60 charge time was inconsistent and longer than advertised. By PFSN's own admission, the dual charger takes longer to charge. The inconsistency I experienced due to the charger's sensitivity is an issue. If that's the case, just send me 2 single chargers. At least I'll know I'll be done in under 4 hours, versus using the single charger one after the other for both batteries, which is still over 6 hours. Regardless, for only an hour and 10 minutes of use, charging times over 6 + 7 hours is not acceptable, especially if you are on a liveaboard. It means the high beam is useless to me if I need runtime. The next two are not issues per se. Since the lights can get really hot, Always remove the batteries before traveling, put them in a case, or insert the insulation tabs. This is really the safest thing to do. The DF60's wrist glove, although is also not something I would use. The light is a little too big to mount something like this. It's more suited for a smaller light, and you got to use a lanyard anyway. So what did I like? They are both button switches with power indicators. They are both pretty bright, higher lumen than most others. They have a solid feel. I actually like the look. The bronze gold color is kind of cool. I like that they have some battery protections, and I especially like the compactness and the run times of the DF35. They're both pretty cheap. I only paid $40 for the DF35 and $80 for the DF60. A consideration if you are on a tight budget. So, in conclusion, just remember that even within one manufacturer, lights can vary significantly. I give the DF35 a solid thumbs up with its tight beam, long run time, decent charge time ratios. I like this light. I've used it a lot recently. As for the DF60, even with the extra lumen and battery protections, it gets a no-go. The very short run times on high, the surprisingly extended charge time ratios are non-starters. Add in the diffused beam, the size, and the weight, I can't recommend this light. Clearly designed by a non-diver. It advertises lumen of 5,500, but in reality limits you to 2,000. So, clearly, the winner is the DF35. Well, let me know what you think. As always, I'm happy to hear feedback. Anyway, my friends, as always, stay safe in your dive adventures, and remember, go explore, get wet,